to the Treasure of Rome course by your Roman consul, Maria Cristina Saraceno. Hello! Today it's a very exciting day. We are going to have a look at your sense of wonder and how you can develop that. So the module is called Expect the Unexpected, and there's a lot of unexpected in Rome at every corner. So the tool we are going to use today is, as I said, your sense of wonder. I would like you to go, wow, at pretty much everything I'll show you today. You might have seen it before, but not in the same light, or it might be completely new to you. We're not going to look at one period or one style. We're just going to roam around Rome and see different things. So forget the Colosseum and the Vatican, and I want you to find your own Rome when you go there. I challenge you to look for everything that is unusual and surprising. So let's start with two odd tourist experiences I'm really baffled by. I think this is just strange, but you might enjoy it. Do you think people still bring homages to Julius Caesar? Well, yes, they do. Many people come and leave coins and flowers on the site where Julius Caesar was cremated. That is in the Roman Forum. This was in February. If you go there in June to September, the place will be swamped with people and coins and flowers. Where are we? We are in the Roman Forum. I am taking the picture from the Capitol Hill, and you can see the Arch of Septimus Severus, and the basilicas and the Palatine Hill on the right. It's strange to me, but people still throw coins at Julius Caesar's cremation site. Now, if pop culture told you to jump off a cliff, would you jump? Well, yet every year millions of people come to Rome to put their hand in the lid of the sewer. They do call it the Mouth of Truth. And you might have done it as well in the past, or you might really, really want to do it. So the legend goes that if you tell a lie while your hand is in the mouth of truth, your hand will be chopped off. And the popularity of the mouth of truth all comes from the Roman holiday movies. Are you a Roman holidays buff too? If you feel the need to dare having your hand chopped off, there are a couple of things to remember. The church where the Mouth of Truth is located is precious. So go inside, have a look. It used to be the church of the Greek community, one of the churches of the Greek community who lived right next to the first port of Rome. Under the church, there is the temple to the god Mithras. You might not have access to it, but do go downstairs because you do have access to some underground parts of the church. In front of the church, there are two of the best preserved temples of ancient Rome, those of Hercules and Portunus that we had a look at in other modules. And I wanted to have a look at this print by Antonio Tempesta. We are in 1593. What can you spot? Well, you can spot the river. On the river there is a bridge which now does not exist any longer. It's been broken only 5 years after this print was taken in 1598, and you can see a couple of arches of the bridge. We call it the Ponte Rotto, the broken bridge. And here there is the Tiberine Island with the hospitals. We have seen the temple of Hercules Olivarius, which has been the Church of St. Stephen for centuries. And right next to it, you have got the Temple of Portunus, which has been the Church of Santa Maria Egiziaca for centuries, with all the little houses and the Armenian hostel that used to be there, that have been cleared out by Mussolini, as you know. And here you've got the Church of Santa Maria in Cosmedin. And look what you've got outside. You've got, just hanging there, the Mouth of Truth. It had not been put in the porticos of the church just yet. I thought this was just a really cute and interesting print to have a look at. The bridge that you see, it was built in the 2nd and 3rd century before Christ, and it was finally destroyed by the floods in 1598, as I was saying, only 5 years after the print was published. And today you can see a little section, and we call it Ponte Rotto, or Broken Bridge. Now, did you know that Romans loved everything Greek? Of course you knew. But did you know that Romans also loved everything Egyptian? Rome at the time had pyramids, temples to Egyptian gods, and tombs decorated with the Egyptian gods. You can see some, for example, under St. Peter's in a special cemetery that used to be under St. Peter. It's still there. You can see some of the family chapels had Roman or Greek gods, some of them had Egyptian gods, and some of them had Jesus and the Good Shepherd. You can find in Rome also Egyptian mosaics and lots more Egyptian stuff. So, just as a curiosity, you might be familiar with a lot of Egyptian gods, Anubis and Horus and lots of others. But have you ever come across the dwarf god Bes? I had not, and yet I've spent most of my early years visiting every year the Egyptian Museum in Turin. Bes fights all that is evil and defends all that is good. Unlike other Egyptian gods, he is shown from the front, not from the sides. All the others are shown from the sides, as you might remember. He makes me laugh, so I love this little god. You can find him at the Museum Baracco, where you can also find reliefs from Mesopotamia and Palmyra. The Museum Baracco is a really easy museum to visit. It's very small, and it is in between Piazza Navona and Campo dei Fiori. Go have a look. It's a beautiful place. This, on the contrary, we are in a different place altogether. We're not in Campo Marzio any longer, where the Museo Baracco is. We are on the Aventine Hill. This is a Nile landscape floor mosaic. It was found on the Aventine Hill, and now you can see it at Palazzo Massimo. I like the hippo and the crocodile too. I think they're very cute. I love Palazzo Massimo. It's one of those palaces where I would really strongly encourage you to go. Do you want to know what my favorite spot to read a book in a museum is? Well, it is at Palazzo Massimo. It is the garden room of the Villa of Livia at Prima Porta. Now, who was Livia? Livia was the wife of Emperor Augustus. And apart from having a palace or a house on the Palatine Hill with Augustus, you can visit both the house of Augustus and the house of Livia on the Palatine Hill. At special times, they're not normally open. They're open once a day. The frescoes of this villa outside Rome, in Prima Porta, just in the outskirts of Rome now, have been moved from the villa and have been placed in Palazzo Massimo. So there is a huge big room where all of the walls are a garden, Livia's garden, the Empress Livia's garden, and they are fantastic. You have no excuses not to visit. It's on the Piazza of Termini station in super easy reach. It's a magic place. If you're into gardens, you can see what was fashionable about 2,000 years ago. You will recognize the plants and the birds. And surprisingly, Palazzo Massimo is often empty. I wonder why, but I think people just don't know about it. So you can bring a book, lie on the daybeds at the center of the room, and just read or pretend to be Livia or Emperor Augustus himself. It's a lovely place. Is the rest of Palazzo Massimo just spectacular, I hear you say? Well, yes, it is fantastic. You can look at astonishing mosaics. You can look at other rooms having been reconstructed here of a villa under the Villa Farnesina in Trastevere that was destroyed during when they built the embankments after 1870s, after 1870. And you can also see the lifelike marble and bronze ancient statues of emperors, VIPs, and for example, we have seen one of the boxer. Now we're moving to a totally different place. We're going to have a look at stone masterpieces. We have seen in Rome there were lots of marbles and lots of marble floors, lots of columns, and but we didn't really talk about the floors or the walls. Now, decorating with colored marbles was called opus sectile. We're going to have a look at a room built with opus sectile at the Museum of the High Middle Ages. If you think your living room looks fancy, or if you had an interior decorator do it up, I still doubt it beats the room that I'm going to show you. This is a room entirely decorated on every side in opus sectile. So that is all marble, and all of those flowers, all of those decorations, those animals are all made of bits and pieces of marble. This used to be a domus in Ostia, the ancient port of Rome, and it's been rebuilt at the Museum of the High Middle Ages, in Museo dell'Alto Medioevo, in the area south of Rome called EUR, Esposizione Universale Roma. It's an area that was built, that was thought and designed during fascism. It's a really interesting area just from an architectural point of view. But if you get into the museums, then this is what you can see. So whereas mosaics are made of square tassels of the same size, they're all little squares, in opus sectile the designs are made of different shaped tassels of colored marble. So once they are destroyed, you cannot rebuild them because you have no idea what they're gonna show unless you've got a picture of the time of what it used to be. And this is a particular case because it's sort of the walls caved in and it sort of all stayed where it used to be. So the beautiful floors might remind you of those you saw in the Senate of Rome, the Curia Julia, which are original floors, as we said, and these are original floors just moved from Ostia to Roma. And many homes and basilicas and other buildings used to have floors like this. These are a little part of the walls, and the decorations have got flowers and have got geometrical patterns, and you can see they also have Jesus, all built with little pieces of marble. There are lions attacking antelopes in a display of power, and there is even tigers. Now, do you think this room was unique in its style? Well, it's the only one you can see today like this. But if you ever look around, you'll find other similar opus sectile decorations. So meet the tigers. If you go to the Capitoline museums on the Campidoglio, on the Capitol Hill, these are two panels with tigers and cows that are still preserved. This is one, and this is another one. And they don't come from a domus, they don't come from a house, they come from the Basilica of Junius Bassus, who was consul in 317 AD on the Esquiline Hill. Do you think they were created by the same now forgotten artist? I don't know, I have no idea. Do you think it was a widespread art with many master carvers? Maybe. But it's certainly a mind-boggling piece of artwork. Now, plenty of you always ask me, oh, what is your favorite restaurant? What is your favorite cafe? I don't really suggest the cafes and restaurants. I will tell you about the art and the history. And this is a great spot And this is a lovely lounge cafe. I love it. I'll show you why. It's Bramante's cloister. And you might ask, who is Bramante? Well, Bramante was one of the most brilliant and daring architects of the Renaissance. And if you just want one thing to remember him by, think of this. Would you be brave enough to demolish St. Peter's to build a bigger, more grandiose church? Now think about it. Demolishing St. Peter's. Would you? I would not. I would just not be brave enough. But Bramante did. He tore the Constantinian Basilica down after over 1,000 years and set out to build St. Peter's as you see today. So if you have to remember Bramante by one thing, and I could tell you a million things to remember him by, just remember he managed to have a new project, a new design for a new St. Peter's, and tore down the old one. We are right next to Piazza Navona. Do you love this place? I do. Come here for exhibitions or just to find a heaven. It's on the first floor. You can come and have a look around. There will be exhibitions every now and again. But if you go upstairs, you can have lunch or a cup of tea. And this is what you'll see. The tables are all around the cloister. The cupola belongs to the church of Santa Maria della Pace, which is an exquisite church. I like to stay outside, but if you get inside, you have to look out of that little odd window with telephones. What's that? Well, that gives you a peek through to the church of Santa Maria della Pace. And this is what you're going to see. Now, are you familiar with the Sibyls painted by Michelangelo in the Sistine Chapel? If you're not, chances are you're going to go to the Sistine Chapel. Have a look at the Sibyls, and then come here and have a look at these Sibyls. These are the Sibyls painted at the same time by Raphael in Santa Maria della Pace. And you can have a look at them from downstairs, from the church itself, or you can come up at the top in the cloister, in the bar, look, peek out of the window, and this is what you're going to see. Do you enjoy a world of monsters and fairies? If you look around Rome, Rome might not strike you for a place with fairies and monsters, but it actually is. So for example, let's have a look at Palazzo Zuccari. This palace was built in the 1700s, and it's a big favorite with kids. If you look inside, you might wonder, is there a monster there? And you are not going to be able to get inside, but if you did, you would be swallowed by a monster just as you get in. Not even the windows are safe, but they're very fun. Now, Palazzo Zuccari, if you want to go and have a look at it, it's a stone throw away from the top of Spanish Steps. Just ask. There is a beautiful hotel just at the top of Spanish Steps. If you ask the porter or the concierge, they'll be able to show you where it is. Now let's have a look at Psyche. If you got kids around on your trip, show them, for example, this beautiful statue of Psyche. She is lovely, looks like a fairy, and she's made of dreams since 1822. She awaits you at Palazzo Braschi, which is right next to Piazza Navona, on the piazza even. No matter how beautiful Psyche might be, you might still get distracted by the Princess Elisabetta Brancaccio and her kids who are in the background. And that's a beautiful, spectacular painting. Until you meet Psyche again at Palazzo Corsini. Here she is carried by the Zephyrs with beautiful butterfly wings. Let's move to a completely different place. Palazzo Corsini was in Trastevere, in Via della Lungara. Here we are moving to the north of Rome, to Via Nomentana. We're going to Villa Torlonia, another one of the major families, like the Corsini and like the Braschi. Now, Villa Torlonia is a roller coaster ride of different styles and stimuli. If you just have a look from the outside, the villa is an example of neoclassic style from the early 1800s. And if you go inside, it's still neoclassic. This is the master bedroom's ceilings. But if you get outside in the park, it's not neoclassic at all. So this is a Moorish greenhouse. I love it. This is the Swiss cottage, the little house of owls. My children love this one. And if you come, you have to have a look at the little house of owls, La Casina delle Civette, and it's the stained glasses, it's maiolicas, and it's wrought iron. Everything is very decorated in really interesting ways. Now, these beautiful glass works, stained glasses, were the work of Duilio Cambelotti. Just remember this name, because I'm going to show you something else of when this artist was just out of school. Now, where do you think in Villa Torlonia the Lego Robotics and Technotown are hosted? If you've got kids, spectacular place to come. Not just for the park outside, but for Technotown and Lego Robotics, which the kids can participate in. They just need to book in advance. Is it in a steel and glass building, do you reckon? Of course not. This is Rome. Have a look at the ceiling of that room. In the 1800s medieval villa, you will find Lego Robotics. And what does the relaxing park hide? You can play ball, you can just chill out, relax, have a picnic, lie in the sun. But underneath, there are Jewish catacombs and Mussolini's war bunker. They're side by side, of course. You can visit Mussolini's war bunker by booking in advance. You cannot visit the Jewish catacombs unless you are lucky enough to be in Rome on the one particular day in the year when they're actually open. Where's the last place you would expect to find marble statues of emperors and gods? Roman emperors, gods, normally, a museum. How about Rome's first public power plant? Would you expect to see marble statues in a power plant? Probably not. So this is the Centrale Monte Martini. It's in the southern part of Rome. I strongly advise you to go and have a look because it's a really fun place. It's an example of industrial archaeology and adaptive reuse. You can admire the steam and diesel machinery if you're into machinery, and also ancient Roman statues at the same time, side by side. You can imagine you are in charge of the electricity supply of Rome, which is very cool. And you just have to remember, you'll be overwhelmed by all this, the machinery and the marble statues, but just remember that most statues and paintings tell stories. So you just need to find the stories and you will enjoy Rome, and in this case, the Centrale Monte Martini, so much more. So for example, what is this guy telling us? It's an ancient Roman and he's holding two faces, so not exactly busts, but faces of two of his relatives. And he's telling us, you don't know who you're messing with. Pay attention to me, because not only I am important, but my dad and my granddad or my brother and my uncle were very important too. This is one of the many sarcophagi coffins that you can see. Have a look for the details. Where are the details? This is Hercules. He's escaping from Hades with the three-headed guardian of the underworld, Cerberus. And what it meant in this story, on this coffin, it was a message of hope for the deceased, who might be able to escape the underworld too, like Hercules. Now we're still at Centrale Monte Martini. We're going to have a look at a tram post that has been turned into a lamppost. And it's got beautiful dancing menads on it. So when you're in Rome, don't dismiss trivial things like lampposts. Approach everything with your sense of wonder. Have a look and see what you see. So now this lamppost is in front of the Centrale Monte Martini, which you can see on the right. It's been signed by the designer, and it's Duilio Campbellotti, the same one who designed the swallows and the owls stained glasses at Villa Torlonia. This is an early work of his. He was just out of a special school for poor kids and orphan kids and troubled kids called the San Michele. We'll talk about the San Michele another day. And they're dated. They date back to 1896. And is this what would you expect to find on a lamppost in a public street? It's not what I would expect to find on a lamppost. They are very sexy. And after being posted for the tram line in 2 different places, so they were created for one spot, they were moved to another spot, then they'd been thrown in the dump during the Anno Santo, the Jubilee, the sacred year of 1950, as they were too revealing. Luckily, during the restorations of the power plant, they were found and restored to their former glory and placed in front of the Centrale Monte Martini. And the wolf, the symbol of Rome, is never far away. Here you see it on the lamppost itself. So functional and trivial things might be work of art too. So look out at the details. For example, whoever said that capitals need to be Doric, Ionic, or Corinthian? This is what my teachers always said to me. But no, they can be anything. So, for example, here, gargoyles are more fun. These are dated 1910. These ones are at the parish of San Camillo. It's behind the American embassy, and I find them delightful. But have a look at these ones. Early 1900s as well. These are the stairs of Palazzo Venezia, and it's a bit of eye candy to me. But to remember Palazzo Venezia, until the First World War, it used to be the embassy, after having been many things, a Pope's palace and the embassy of Venice. It used to be the embassy of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Now, Italy conquered some parts of the north of Italy now from the Austro-Hungarian Empire in the First World War. So, if you come here, right after the war, the palace was repossessed from the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And notice the capitals. They all show cities conquered from the Austro-Hungarian Empire during the First World War. Each capital is different and surprising, and it leaves no doubt that Rome rules. There's a whole bunch of capitals that are not, they don't look like symbols of different cities, but they look like marine shells and other marine details. They're quite interesting. Just go and have a look, get inside Palazzo Venezia, and admire not only the stairs, but each single capital there. The Romans have as you might have noticed, have got a huge sense and need to beautify everything. So this is council housing, and it's been turned into an attraction because life is better in a beautiful place and a lot more fun. So here we are in an area of Rome called the Tor Marancia, and you can go and have a look. Which one is your favorite? Even simple steps can be beautified. This is an actress out of a really famous Roman movie. And all the sheds by the river port, Via del Porto Fluviale, they have been beautified too. or monstrified? Which one is your favorite monster? Mine is the blue one. So let's recap. Rome is so much more than St. Peter's and the Colosseum and the Trevi Fountain and the Pantheon and the Mouth of Truth. Rome is a lot more than the Roman holidays or standard tour. So stray from the known sights, look at the details, retrieve stories from your memories or make them up as you go along. And remember, you got a lot of resources at your disposal just on your phone. Check on your phone. It's a spectacular resource for when you're traveling around Rome. Find connections amongst different places and never cease to be surprised. Your sense of wonder is your best tool to enjoy the eternal city. So from your Roman consul, Maria Cristina Saraceno, have a fantastic time in Rome. Post the picture in the Facebook group and let us know about your discoveries and your favorite places. Ciao!